Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Chris Randone as we get ready for an 11-game Monday slate. It's December 23rd. We, of course, are recording this Sunday night, December 22nd. Chris, it's been a few weeks since we've done a show together. How are you? You went on a voyage of personal discovery, and then you discovered food poisoning the next weekend.
Yeah, man. Rough couple weeks, but it's always about the comeback. The comeback's bigger than the setback. So here we are, man. 11 games. Wow, it's gonna be interesting to talk about all these injured Wizards with you. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, it is going to be a crazy one. We have so many moving parts. We've got a bunch of teams on back-to-backs. We're just going to hit the high notes here. Remember, a heavy game, 22 teams in action. Nobody plays on Christmas Eve. That is Tuesday. And then we get 5 featured games on Christmas Day, on that Wednesday. And I want to tell you about what our presenting sponsor, Yahoo, is doing. So first off, if you haven't signed up for Yahoo yet, the hell are you waiting for, as Dan Stratford likes to say? Second, if you do sign up, come through our link. You can get that at the bottom section of any of the Cash Game Building Blocks Daily Article Series. That's a free article series. But at the bottom, you'll get the link, the promo code, and if you sign up through that, deposit $30, Yahoo will match you in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Those are YSRPs. Those are just as good as cash. You can use those to enter into any contest. And here's the contest you're going to want to enter into right now. As soon as you hear me say this, go over to Yahoo. They have a $200,000 baller for their Christmas tournament. It is $10 entry fee, 20 max. They are adding $50,000 to the prize pool. So 15,000 entries. That is $150,000, but it is a $200,000 prize pool because they're putting an extra $50K in there. Get over there now, max it out, get your placeholder lineups in there. You're crazy if you don't do that. As of this recording at 9 o'clock on Sunday night, there are 2,100 of the 15,000 entries are in there. Chris, you better get yours in there too.
Yeah, no, I just saw the tournament. I'm glad you told me because I don't think if I didn't hear you just say that, I probably would have missed out on this. But
I missed the
50K.
Thanksgiving tournament. I am not missing the Christmas one. I loaded up on that this morning.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a great deal. What is it? 20 max entries, you said?
20 max, so $200.
Can't
And
go wrong.
you're already starting out with about 33% advantage. Now you have to monetize that. You still have to cash it, etc. But you are getting the value of $260 by playing 200. So just
Yeah,
just
no,
saying.
you can't go wrong. I mean, even tomorrow they got a nice little tournament, 5K to first, get you maybe a little bit of a pregame warm up before the holiday baller on Wednesday. So yeah,
All
definitely
right,
check it out. It's worth it.
it's gonna be a good one. All right, we'll hit the big notes here. Wizards are a mess. They are now without Isaiah Thomas. He went into the stands in Philadelphia. Had a little tete there with a couple fans, and he is suspended for 2 games. Rui Hachimura still going to be out for another 2 games. Thomas Bryant not expected back till the end of January. Davis Bertans the latest to join that club. He is not going to play on Monday. Moritz Wagner is going to be out into the new year, and then Jordan McRae, he has barely played at all this season. He's been dealing with I forget what surgery he had, and then CJ Miles. Yeah, I think he played 2 games for the Wizards. He's out until probably April. So the Wizards are going to be a mess. You've got the Raptors. Are the Raptors on? Yes, the Raptors are on the slate. They're playing on a back-to-back. They played Sunday afternoon, the matinee game. Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, and Norman Powell are all out. They're going to be out into January and by when I say into January, like President's Day or later. So they're going to be out basically for another month. Those are the main ones. The rest of them will hit game by game, but everything's as we hit the stuff by position. We'll go game by game here utilizing DraftKings, but we'll call out some pricing of note, talk about a few of these towards the end of the show as well, so we can hit some of those Yahoo ones. But Chris, we'll turn it over to you here. Point guard, you've got a few fun ones up at the top. You've got Damian Lillard, who has been playing like a man possessed. You have Trae Young gets to go against Cleveland. He's going to have his running mate back, John Collins. First game back after serving his 25-game suspension. You got Ben Simmons going against Detroit. What do you like here up at the tippy top of point guards?
Man, is it weird that I like a lot of these guys? because my God, I mean, Trae Young, great matchup at Cleveland. I think him being the highest priced player on the slate is pretty wild, though, considering James Harden is here. But you know, here's the thing: Damian Lillard, you mentioned it. He's been on a little bit of a tear as of late. These last 3 games, really shooting well from the field, playing great ball, and he's only 8,300. And I feel like when you compare him and Trae Young as far as can he get there or, their projection, I would rather save the 3,000 and go to Damian Lillard here at 8,300. It's going to be an up pace spot against New Orleans, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. So love that call on Damian Lillard. And obviously Westbrook, 8,900. We talked about it, how, we haven't seen Westbrook like games. That's kind of changed here as of late. And he's getting into the 40-minute mark on some occasions. But 56, 60, and 53 his last 3 games. Going now against the Sacramento team. I like it. 8,900. I think on this 11-game slate, you're going to probably want to shy away from paying so much up to certain players, because I think that there are players in these 8K range that could get there as far as what you're looking for to get out of maybe a guy that's in the 10, 11K range. So those would be the guys that I have my eye on here as a first look.
All right, looking, let me get back to my filters here. I closed out the wrong stuff. Ugh, I hate when you do that. Then you get off on your game and it makes you think. And then when you think and you try to talk and try to do everything at the same time, doesn't work all that well. Here we are. Now, coming down the pricing list here, of course, Isaiah Thomas going to be getting a boatload of minutes. Or pardon me, I'm sorry. With Isaiah Thomas out, Ish Smith should be playing a prominent role here again for the Wizards. He is 4,500. It was a tale of two cities, I guess, two outcomes in his quote revenge game in 20 minutes against Philadelphia. 0 for 7. That's not very good. When he played them at the beginning of December, 7 for 11. So your mileage may vary here, but I still think we got to go to him for the shorthanded Wizards. So I like him for some immediate savings. If we get down into the middle of the list here, as long as Ricky Rubio is out, again, he's been dealing with an illness, but you've got Devin Booker. He's at 7,900. Point guard, shooting guard eligible there. He's going against Denver. Denver is on the back-to-back, having played Sunday night in Los Angeles. I think you've got to look at Fred VanVleet. We will have the Fred Van Elite contest posted here shortly. He is point guard, shooting guard eligible here, but with everybody else out, he's going to play massive minutes once again for Toronto. He's coming off an amazing game there in Washington. Dropped 43 fantasy points. Played, let's see what he did on, well, we'll get to that in just a second here for what he did on Sunday. But I think the guy that I slide down to, and I'm not sure what I want to do with, so I want to ask you about him. De'Aaron Fox, 6,400, coming back from that injury. He did play on the back-to-back, played 24 minutes on Friday, 30 minutes on Saturday, gets Sunday off. So this is a 3 and 4 here for him, but 6,400. He's going against Houston. I kind of like the matchup here for De'Aaron Fox. What are your thoughts there in the mid-tier as we pause?
Yeah, no, I like the matchup. Since he's been back in these 3 games, 28 usage, 25.1 usage, and the minutes. I mean, hey, it's not too much of a concern because he's the primary ball handler when he is on the court. I do like him coming off the bench, weirdly enough, because I feel like he's just torching these second units. So, I mean, if he continues to come off the bench, I think maybe he's of value here. I mean, we know how it is as far as Houston's defense. When it comes to the guard positions, we've seen guards kind of really take advantage of them. So I will say that if he does come off the bench, I like him even more. But either way, if he's going to start now touching that 30-minute mark, I don't mind it. I mean, I think his price point is still fair enough, I guess. I mean, at 6,400, what much do you need from him to get 30? I think he can easily do that. So yeah, I really like the call there with Fox at 6,400.
All right, let's talk about Kyle Lowry for just a second. On Friday night, he played 41 minutes against Washington. On Sunday afternoon, he played, wait for it, 42 minutes. 42 out of 48 minutes. He led the Toronto Raptors to 47 points in the fourth freaking quarter. against Dallas. Eddie and I were on air, and they were down by 20. Toronto was. And Eddie had said, yep, Dallas is a team you can't mess around against, even without Luka Doncic. Oh, my goodness. 47 points by the Raptors in the fourth quarter. Does Lowry have anything left in the tank, having played 83 minutes in his last 2 games?
I mean, I think so. I think, he took off some time earlier this year, right? But they need him. That's the thing. I mean, but aside from him and Van Fleet, as far as the guards are concerned, I don't think they really trust anyone else. I mean, Terrence Davis comes off the bench. He can knock down a couple threes here and there. But I mean, when it comes to ball handling and really orchestrating an offense, I mean, Kyle Lowry is their guy right now, and they need him even more now with Siakam off the court. Someone who they depended on as far as scoring is concerned. And yeah, I mean, they need these 2 guards. So I'm not going to really be too concerned as far as him playing 41 minutes today. He's going to take a lot of shots. He's going to dish out a lot of assists. I like it, man. And here's the thing. If he's playing, you can't be concerned. If there's something that, would happen where it would prevent him from maybe as far as an injury, then I think we can talk about it. But if he's full go, I mean, hey, that really, you just got to roll with it at that point and not have any concern about the minutes.
All right, wrapping up the point guard position, kind of get us over here into shooting guard. You've got Jeff Teague, Minnesota, going against Golden State. He is 5,700. You've got Goran Dragic. He is back. Played 24 minutes on Saturday against, on Friday against Utah. He dropped 34 fantasy points. You've got RJ Barrett going against a shorthanded Wizards squad, and then Elfrid Payton. So he's starting to play more of a prominent role there for the New York. He and Barrett both started their last game. Payton played 27 minutes, 6 points, 10 assists, 4 steals, 5 rebounds, 34 fantasy points. He's someone who is intriguing. Let's head on over here to shooting guard. Chris, I will turn it over to you. At the top, you've got James Harden going against Sacramento. He is 11,000 on DraftKings. You've got Bradley Beal. So here's the big question. Beal going against New York, that bodes well for him. But if he is literally the only guy left on the team, can he be efficient enough to be a decent option here? He's going to have Ish Smith to help him out. And I don't know, the guy selling popcorn is probably going to be suiting up in the third quarter. What do you want to do here with Beal with literally nobody around him to help out?
Beal should be 11K. I mean, this is a pricing mistake based on not only his performance, but the fact that he is the only primary scoring option for this team.
He's first and second and third.
Yeah, and he's that's it. I mean, look at what he's done the last few games. But I mean, he's hitting in some games 40+% usage. The amount of shots that he's taken, I mean, he's averaging almost 24 shots a game out of his last 5 or 6 games. Shooting a ton from 3-point range, 10, 10, 9, 9, 13. He's 9,300. And I mean, he's going to take a ton of shots. And
he's taken 24 in 3 of his last 4, Chris. The next best shooter that's healthy is Troy Brown or Ish Smith.
Yeah. And he's 9,300. So you mean to tell me that we might get a guy that plays 40+ minutes, that's going to shoot 20+ shot attempts, a ton of threes, and just be on the court being active? Yeah, go ahead and sign me up. I mean, it's got to be a definite lock. It just has to be based on what we're seeing here.
That is just, it's amazing. So he's 93 on DK, 94 on FanDuel, and then he's 46 on Yahoo. For comparison, Harden is 11,000 on DK, 12,000 on FanDuel, and 59 on Yahoo. You're getting a massive discount here. I mean, again, my half, not being facetious here, but if they're just going to collapse on him every time he gets the ball, I don't know what else is going to happen. That is a partial concern here until you remember he's playing the Knicks.
Right.
And I don't know if they're going to be that competent, but I don't know who else is. I mean, Troy Brown is going to have to take 15 shots. His last couple games, 15, 10, 8, 9, 8, 12, 4. So I guess he's going to be the next guy. Ish Smith doesn't get double-digit field goal attempts. All that, that's about where he caps out. I don't see him getting more than that because he's going to have to bring the ball up because Beal literally can't do everything. And then you're looking at Isaac Bonga, who doesn't shoot, Jan Mahinmi, who's going to be impressive if he takes more than 5 shots. Admiral Schofield, I just, wow, this is going to be interesting. I want to watch DFS strategy show with Adam, or pardon me, deep dive with Adam Scherer. He is a fellow Wizards fan, lives in the area, has been a lifelong Wizards fan. I can't wait to see his head explode when he tries to figure out who else is going to play here for Washington. All right, enough on those guys, but let's get back to shooting guard here. We kind of hit on Van Vliet. You've got Malcolm Brogdon. He is on the back-to-back, played last night in Milwaukee. Has been disappointing of late. You've got Josh Richardson, who has been seeing his price tick up, but the production really hasn't been there. The minutes are coming up now that he's healthy again. He's kind of disappointing. You've got Joe Ingles against Miami. He's someone I like to look to, especially with Mike Conley out. He's that secondary ball handler, gets some extra points, but that's a tough matchup there. All of a sudden, I'm starting to look at guys like R.J. Barrett and Jordan Clarkson. If I'm not spending on Beal or Harden, I'm dipping way down on the pricing list here. Chris, what do you like here kind of in the bargain bin, shall we say?
Yeah, no, I don't mind Drew Holiday at 7,800, Fred VanVleet at 7,600, and I think that's just based on the fact that he's going to be on the floor a ton. And I mean, he is probably now the secondary option to scoring outside of Kyle Lowry. But as we get down into maybe like the 5K range, Alec Burks, I think, is someone who should be considered. Love the Joe Ingles call. Dylan Brooks, he's 5,300. And he's just someone to keep an eye on just because he can score. And if his shot's going in, and he has that confidence, he can give you that 25, 30 point mark that you would need based on his price point at 5,300. So they have San Antonio's defensively is not what they used to be in Popovich's recent years. And, they struggle against guards. So I don't mind this matchup for Dylan Brooks. This could be an up-pace spot, given the fact of how fast that Memphis actually plays. But other than that, though, once we go down even more, I really have to see what kind of opens up as far as value is concerned. But Damian Lee, for him, I think he started 2 or 3 of the last few games. He's someone that maybe can be of interest at 4,300. Love the matchup with Minnesota. 32, 20, and 27 fantasy points on DK the last 3 games. So that's more than enough for him to hit that price point. If he's in the starting lineup, I don't mind him whatsoever.
That's a good call out there. He was actually getting some closing run. He's been starting. He has kind of moved in there with Alec Burks and D'Angelo Russell as kind of the 3-guard rotation there for the Warriors. So that one's an interesting one. They've got Karl Anthony Towns, or the Wizards, or pardon me, Wizards, the Timberwolves do. He has missed the last 3 games with the sore knee. We'll have to see what happens with him. But if he is out, that kind of opens things up for the rest of his team to get additional usage. If we look at some of our small forwards here, let's see. I wanted to mention Wiggins. His price has come up again without Karl Anthony Towns, but he has been shooting a ton. He is also getting assists with a little more frequency than he has in the past. Just 1 in the last game, but 6 in the one prior to that. 0, 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 7. Those numbers are pretty good. It used to be kind of a joke that he and Hassan Whiteside could literally go a week without getting an assist. And here we are seeing both of them get more assists these days. But Wiggins, his shooting is what I like to point out. 24, 18, 23, 20, 23, 18. Those are his field goal attempts in recent games. So that is a nice floor. You're paying a boatload, but him against Golden State, kind of like that, especially if Karl Anthony Towns is out. Moving on down, you got Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's been a bit of a disappointment lately. The thing you want to remember is even though his price is coming down, we have Marvin Bagley and De'Aaron Fox back. That is cramping his style somewhat. Plus, the Kings are not yet playing at a faster pace. They will as De'Aaron Fox continues to get healthy and Bagley continue to get healthy, but I don't like them. I'm going to pause for a moment here, though, on Kelly Oubre. He has been very solid his last few games on the season, averaging just shy of 18 points, 6 rebounds, and nearly 2 combined blocks and steals, 6,600. He's going against Denver, who is on the back-to-back. Denver, a tough matchup, but I like the fact that they're on the back-to-back there. And then last guy is Aaron Gordon. He's a small forward, power forward, eligible there on DraftKings, but 6,100 gets a delicious matchup against the Chicago Bulls here. I kind of like the mid-tier, I guess. If we're not going to pay that premium there for Wiggins or go to somebody like Brandon Ingram, I think we're going to have to live in this mid-tier. What are you seeing from the small forward position at our first look here?
Love the Wiggins call. I mean, if Towns is out, obviously, I think Wiggins becomes a very elite play because of this matchup, and I mean how much more usage he gets with Towns off the floor. Ben Simmons is someone who's really catching my eye for this matchup against Detroit. Detroit's just not good defensively, and I mean him at 8,500, he can easily get that triple double potential. But he's been playing really good as of late. Now, I think the only thing that we would probably like to see more for him is maybe just a little bit more scoring. And I know that's tough because it's somewhat hard for him to shoot outside a specific range of the perimeter. But he is 8,500. He does do it on all aspects on the floor. And he also gets there defensively. So when you have a guy of this caliber who is very talented, and probably won't be as owned given his price point, but I do like him for a GBP play. DeMar DeRozan stands out to me here. He's 6,800. He's been very frustrating minutes wise and just overall not really reaching his full potential. I don't know what's going on, if it's him or is it just how this offense is now. They run a lot of guards throughout rotations, and a lot of these guards are taking and pulling up shots, but he is 6,800. He does have that potential to go off and get you a 40, 45 point DK game. He's shooting double digit shot attempts every single game, but we just need him to score more. It's a great matchup. They're probably going to be moving the offense very quickly in this game against Memphis. So I think he's just someone to keep an eye on here at 6,800. And I think Aaron Gordon, he's 6,100 at home. This is going to be a great matchup. They struggle against the front courts, Chicago does. And, Aaron Gordon, he is someone who definitely has talent, but he also has double potential as well. And I think the only thing we would like to see is if he can shoot better. He's shooting a ton of shots. The thing is that he's just not really making a lot of shots. So if there's a way where, we can see him maybe shoot a little bit better from the field, he definitely has a lot of potential at 6,100 to not only get there, but really have a big game. I do like that matchup against Chicago. And I think Jonathan Isaac as well, 6K, looking at guys 6K and above. I like both these guys considering how Chicago does struggle with lengthy front court guys. And those are two guys who are definitely active and have some length there for Orlando.
All right, back as we get down to the bottom here of small forward, kind of using our Draymond Green. Now he's point guard and small forward. I think he has been literally eligible for every position except shooting guard over the last 2 seasons on DraftKings. But Jay Crowder, 5,400. Jonas Valanciunas dealing with a little bit of health issues. So if he's out again, that just means Memphis probably continues to play even faster than they normally do. That suits Crowder well, especially going against San Antonio, who's playing faster and with less defense. And then Kent Bazemore. We'll have to see what happens here with Carmelo Anthony, but if he misses a second game with his bruised leg, we could see Bazemore end at 4,700 there going against New Orleans. That is interesting. We get on here into power forward. You've got Domantas Sabonis, who was a game-time decision but ended up playing with sore hip on Sunday night. Had 19 points, 18 rebounds. This is a back-to-back, but decent matchup for him against the watered-down Toronto Raptors team. You've got Serge, whatever we're going to call him tonight. Ibaka is coming off 240 burgers. What did he do on Sunday? I don't know because I just closed that box score, but he played 24 minutes, had just 6 points, just 5 rebounds. Don't worry about that. There was probably a lot of guarding of Kristaps Porzingis. Go ahead and play him again on Monday. Tobias Harris going against Detroit. He's been somewhat disappointing his last few games, but price is reasonable at 7,200. And then the guy I really like, where I'm going to hand this back over to you, Julius Randle, cover boy on our photo for the Early Bird podcast today. Phenomenal matchup against the Wizards. The Wizards are the fastest, or one of the three fastest paced teams, the worst defensive team, and the worst rebounding team in the league. That's perfect for Julius Randle here. He is going to be a mainstay of my lineups. Power forward, center eligible there, 6,700. Perfect price point. What do you like here for the power forwards, Chris?
Man, can we talk about revenge narrative for Bobby Portis?
Oh, he did have a hot minute. And what is he, 4,300 or so?
Nah. Yeah, no, I mean he's 4,800. But
48? Okay.
I kind of like, so I like Randall, 6,700, and I see where you're coming from. The only thing that probably concerns me is like, does he hit that 30-point DK mark and then just plateaus and just like that's it? And I mean, I say this in a good way because there's so much more potential for him in his game that if we can just see that, but also it's the rotations that have been coming out. If Portis gets the hot hand, they could run with him in the rotation. But Portis, I mean, this is a great matchup for him. And I don't know what the outcome is as far as where we see this game. Will it be competitive? I think it will be high scoring, but New York, I'm not sure. But when it comes to Randall and Portis, I think they're both in play. And we did miss out. I don't know if you spoke on it, but Troy Brown Jr., I think, is also someone to consider. He is 4,800 at that small forward position. Because what happens now? With Bertans out, Bertans was, putting up 15, 16 shots the last couple games. Do we now go to Schofield? And I mean, I say this because he's 3,500, played 26 minutes and 22 minutes. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch that he is fantasy valuable, but I will say this is that they have no one else. They need people to rebound. They need people to play defense. Schofield's 3,500. Can he maybe get us 20, 22 fantasy points? I mean, yeah, he played 18 minutes against Chicago a few games ago. Had 3 steals and a block. Scored 21 DK points. Now, here's the thing: who's going to take more shots now? Is it going to be Beal taking all the shots? If not, maybe some of these big men that are going to come out of nowhere. But I think Schofield, as far as maybe a potential GBP dart, just to round out these other Wizards. But other than that, though, when looking at this, Jaren Jackson Jr. He just came off a really big game against Sacramento. He's just very active defensively. I love him. And I probably love him for FanDuel even more because of how much more valuable these defensive stats are. But they're going to need him to play against Aldridge, against Lyles, and how do you say, Podol? Jacoby Podol? Jakob Podol. Yeah, I always get his name wrong. But, I mean, they're going to need big men. So love Jaren Jackson Jr. there. And then outside of that, I mean, Ibaka is going to be needed to play a lot of minutes against, the big guys of Indianapolis. So I don't mind him either. And some of the cheap guys, Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Jay Crowder. I think all these guys should be considered. They all have great matchups. They all play lengthy minutes. And I mean, these are guys that if you're multi-entering, you can just plug and play and just hopefully one of those correlations go off for your lineup.
All right, wrapping it up here with centers, and we'll talk some of the pricing on FanDuel and presenting sponsor Yahoo. We mentioned Towns dinged up with that knee injury, 10,400. Not really interested in him. You've got Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond scoring off against each other. They don't really like each other, so but at that price point, I don't really like them. Jokic on the back-to-back going against Phoenix. He's 9,100. Yeah. Rudy Gobert and Bam Adebayo scoring off against each other. Yeah, not really. Now we've got some fun. Nikolai Vucevic coming off a 57 fantasy point performance against Portland. He's going to be going against Chicago. He has not yet played them this season. You've got Whiteside going against New Orleans. Whiteside has been outstanding. 7 blocks on Saturday night on his way to 63 DraftKings points, 16 points, 22 rebounds. Game before that, 10 points, 17 boards, 16 points, 23 boards, 10 points, 14 boards, 33 points, 11 boards, 17 points, 15 boards, 14 points, 10 boards. Guess what? Coach Spo is not keeping him from playing in the fourth quarter. He is in the Pacific Northwest with the Trailblazers now. I love some Whiteside here. So Vucevic, Whiteside would be the guys I'd be willing to spend on. We'll have to see if we get any word on what's coming on with John Collins with regards to any minutes limit. Remember, he was suspended. I don't even remember why, but it was not an injury. You've got Clint Capella, who's dealing with a sore heel. but he is coming off some phenomenal games. He's going against Sacramento. They're not equipped to deal with him. He's 7,400. We've got Julius Randle. We've got Tristan Thompson against Atlanta. That's a nice spot. You've got Markieff Morris going against Philadelphia. If we know that. Oh shoot! Why am I'm blanking? Christian Wood is still out, and don't know what's going on with Blake Griffin. But Markieff Morris has been playing some more 4 and 5 when Drummond has been out, but he's been getting a bunch of points here. A lot of options here at the pivot plays. Do you want to leave the audience with any of your highlights?
Yeah, no, I don't like Towns either. I think we still have to wait and see kind of what's going on with the injury, and also just not really confident if he'll play a full run of minutes. Um, Drummond and Embiid, I mean, this is going to be a hell of a matchup. But I probably would pivot, like you mentioned. I do like Jokic in this matchup against Phoenix. I feel like this matchup bodes him well. And I do like Rudy Gobert just a little bit because of how big Miami does play with Bam and Olynyk and Miles Leonard. So, Rudy Gobert 9K, I still feel like is somewhat appropriate. He only jumped up 100 from his last game. And then Vucevic is, I mean, 8,200, man. And we just talked about, with Gordon and Isaac, who could cause problems. I think Vucevic can cause a lot of problems for Wendell Carter and the rest of those guys off the bench for Chicago. So coming off a really big game against Portland, where defensively they struggle against the front court, as does Chicago. So Vucevic is coming back in a real form. I mean, he's an all-star. If he's going to be shooting 20 shots and playing 33, 34 minutes, double potential. I love that call at 8,200. He might be my favorite center as far as these higher priced guys on the slate at the center position.
All right, couple guys on FanDuel here standing out. Aaron Baines is 4,300. Of course, you're going to have to get him at center, but he's going to be needed against Jokic. In the last game against Denver, he put up 28 fantasy points in 29 minutes. We know that DeAndre Ayton is going to be out through Christmas. Of course, you've got, we mentioned Ish Smith. He's 4,500. Troy Brown Jr., 4,800. Bradley Beal, 9,400. They're coming up as high-value plays there on FanDuel. RJ Barrett, 5,500. Derek Favors. Favors is interesting. No longer has a minutes limit. Let me see what he played in his last game. He ended up playing 27. They said they don't expect to see him go over 30, but he is not he's doesn't have that 20-minute limit anymore. So they're thinking 25 to 30 is going to be kind of his range of outcomes. That's an interesting spot. If we look over on Yahoo, let's see what we have here for our $10 discounts. Remember, not all $10 players are created equal, but 13 is Aaron Baines, 15 is Ish Smith, 10 is Jan Mahimni. You've got Cam Reddish coming in at 10. You've got Shabazz Napier, who's been drawing some starting duty there for Minnesota. He is at 11. Damian Lee, I really like at 10 on Yahoo. He's 43 on FanDuel. You've got Terrence Ross coming in at 10. And then let's wrap it up here with Kevin Huerter at 14. As long as he continues to get that backup point guard run there behind Trae Young, he is someone who is interesting. Final thoughts before we get on out of here, Chris?
No, man. 11 game slate. It's going to be a big one. Just be conscious of how you're spreading out your salary, and don't necessarily think you need to go big on a couple guys like Trae Young, like James Harden. I think there's going to be a lot of great guys tomorrow priced in the 5K range, and I mean, that's more than enough if they're playing the minutes, if they're on the floor, and a lot of scoring opportunities. That's the route to go. So just be conscious of that, and good luck, and always a pleasure, Emac.
All right, with that, gamers, remember, get on over there to that Yahoo contest. Chris, start hitting enter right now. I don't want you to miss out on that. $50,000 added to their Christmas Day tournament. It is $10 to enter, 20 entry max. If you have not yet signed up for Yahoo, you can go to the bottom of any Cash Game Building Blocks article, and you will get the link, the promo code, and instructions on how you can claim up to $30 with your initial DFS deposit. With that, you can follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Randone. You can find me at EmacDFS. And of course, it is Osmo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.